Alright, we're going to practice working with some algebraic expressions that involve fractions. So here we've got an example. We've got 1.5 plus s plus 6 3/4 when s equals 1 3/8. So we're going to evaluate this expression when s equals 1 3/8. So first thing is to go ahead and plop that s into our expression. So now we've got 1.5 plus, instead of s, we'll write 1 3/8. Plus 6 3/4. So let's look for our least common denominator here so we can add them all together. We've got 2, 8, and 4. So if we were to look at our multiples there, we know those are all going to go into 8, which would be our least common denominator. So now we need to change 1 1/2 and 6 3/4 into mixed numbers that have a denominator there of 8. So 1 1/2, we're going to take that, multiply each by 4, and we get 1 4/8. 1 3/8 can stay as it is, and 6 3/4 will multiply numerator and denominator by 2 and get 6 6/8. So let's go ahead and add those fractions first. 4/8 plus 3/8 plus 6/8 would be 13/8, which is 1 5/8. Now we've got 1 plus 6, which is 8. So we've got 8 plus 1 5/8, and our answer is 9 5/8. So that's how we can do algebraic expressions with fractions. Let's also take a look at simplifying algebraic expressions with fractions. So if you had 7.5 plus 6 plus 4 1/4, and you were asked to simplify the expression, in this case, simplifying would just be combining like terms, and we've talked about that before. So that's where I write, if we had 2x plus x plus 3 plus 2, we could rewrite that. We can combine the 2x plus the x, and that gives us 3x, and the 3 plus the 2 would be 5. So that's how we simplify an expression. So in this case, all three of our numbers here, we've got 7.5, 6, and 4 1/4. So those are all just our normal rational numbers. No variable with those, so we can combine those by adding them. So we'll add 7 1/2 plus 6 plus 4 1/4. So with 7.5 and 4 1/4, we need to have the same denominator. So in this case, that'll be fourths. So we can multiply these by 2, and we'll get 2 times 2 and 1 times 2, so we get 7 2/4 plus 6 plus 4 1/4. So we can start by adding these fractions. 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. And 7 plus 6 plus 4 will be 17. So our answer, if we were to simplify this, would be 17 3/4. So that's just a little bit on how we can work with algebraic expressions with fractions.